Hi guys, so we are going to work today on division of whole numbers. So when you're dividing whole numbers, there are two strategies that should be the easiest to you. Now with whole numbers, you may have remainders, so your answer does not need to have a decimal. What you're going to do then, what if I had a whole number divided by another number? Okay, so what you're going to do is here's one strategy. If you use long division, you're going to create your house. Remember the number outside, the first number, is the number inside the house. So it goes here. And the last number is the one that you divide by, is your divisor. So what you're going to do is we're going to go number by number. I like lining up my numbers, and sometimes I use sticky notes to kind of help me figure out how I'm doing it. So I'm doing it. Remember, this number is trying to get into the house. So how many times can this number get in the house if this was a house? So if I look at the 3, how many times can 3 go into 4? Now, I need to make groups exactly of 3. I can only make one exact group of 3, so 1 is my answer. And when I make one group of 3, that means that I have 3 going inside the house. And when I subtracted, I can see that I have 1 left that was from another time. Now remember that it is 468, so that means that 100 was left out. Okay, so it's not just 1, it's 100. Then I took care of this 4, so I can forget about the 400 because I already used it. I don't need it anymore, but I need to take care of this 6, which is 60, okay? It has a value of 60. So I'm going to bring it down to make sure that I work on it. And again, this 3 is trying to get in the house. How many times does the 3 go into 16? 3, 6, 12, 15, 18. Oops, 18 is too much. So I know that 5 times would be the right answer. 5 times 3 is 15. So when I do 5 groups of 3, 15 are going in. And when I subtract, I have 1 left, which has a value of 10 because we're in the tens place for this number. Then I bring down the other number because I already took care of that 6. I don't need it anymore. So I'm going to bring down the next number, which is 8. And how many groups of 3 can go into 18? Remember, this number is trying to go in. So 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. Ooh, it's an exact number, and it goes 6 times. 6 groups of 3 make 18. Then I subtracted and I have 0 left. If I had 1, let's pretend that I had 1 left over, then I would write R1 up here to show, okay? When I take out my sticky, I have no more numbers, so my problem ends right there, okay? So this is one way of doing it. I can also use the box method, which uses place value. And for some of you, that might be helpful, okay? So what I do is I break down the 400, 60, and 8, okay? And I have my number 3 here, and I'm going to create a box. So again, this 3 is trying to get in here as many times as it can. So just by looking at this number right here, the 4, how many times does the 3 go into the 4? Well, I know that it will go 1 time. And remember, if I have zeros, I just copy the zeros. Okay, the zeros just came down. They were just copied. So, okay, well, I have that. But I'm sorry. Yeah. But I have 1 number left. Okay, so I need to think about this. I have 1 number left because I did one time. And one time means that I have 3. So that I have 100 left. So I have 100 left in here. Then these together is 160. So this number will be replaced and this becomes 160. Again, remember that 0 can come down here. And I can think, how many times does 3 go into 16? Well, it goes 5 times, but I have 1 left. And that 1 can go right in front of the 8. Then that becomes 18. And it goes 6 times. And all I have to do now is add these up. Okay? So I can add these up and I will have 156. Same thing. For some of you, number buns can be different. So I said that I had 2 strategies, but what if I wanted to use number buns? I could divide this 468 into 468. Same thing that I did with the box in reality, okay? Now remember that you start with the bigger number and you move down to the smallest number, okay? Otherwise, it wouldn't work. This is the only operation where you go from the biggest number to the smallest number, whereas multiplication, addition, subtraction, you usually go from the smallest to the biggest number in the place value chart. So if you think about 3, now because you're doing a number bond in this one, you would think you're dividing this by 3, and you know 3 will only go 1 time into the 4, so it's 1 time, but you have 100 left out, okay? So you will have 100 left out, but I have only done this digit and this digit. What about the zeros that are left? I just bring them down. I don't have to worry about them like I did in the other operation of the box method, okay? So this number turned into a 160 now because I added them up. Well, I'm going to look at that divided by 3. Again, I have a 0, so I can just bring down that 0. And then look at this as 16. How many times does 3 go into 16? It goes 5 times, but that gives me 15. So I still have 1 left over to make it to 16. So I'm going to bring that over. And remember that 1, because 3 times 50 is 150, that becomes a 10. So I have to add the 10. And that's 18. So 18 divided by 3 is 6. And then when I add these up, that looks like a multiplication sign. When I add these up, then I have 156. And that is how you do division. You may choose whichever choice of method to use. And then try to solve the problem. So I'm going to give you a problem. And I want you to pause the screen and try to solve it yourself. I will give you the answer after, but you have to pause it because I will give you the answer pretty quick after. I'll walk you through each step, but you have to pause it so you don't get to the answer before you get to the work, okay? So what if I had 484 divided by 2? Nah, we're not going to do 2. That's too easy. That's too easy. You guys can do better. Divided by 5. Okay? So I want you to pause the problem. Just keep this on your screen so you know how to do it. Work it out and see if you get the right answer. Pause now. Okay, you should have paused. And after pausing, let's see. It doesn't matter which method you used. Mine, I will just use the box method this time because that's just easier for me, okay? So I'm going to break down the number into 400 plus 80 plus 4 because that makes 484. And I'm dividing by 5. Okay, so I know that 5 can go into 4, but I know that 5 can go into 40. So I'm going to use these two numbers, and this extra 0 I'm going to bring down. 5 goes into 40 8 times. So that first number is 80. I have no remainders, so I don't need to carry anything over. Well, I know that 5 can go, and this, I'll make it a little more simple this time. 5 can go into 8 one time, and I have 0. So 10 times 5 is 50. So that means I have 30 left. I have 30 left that I need to bring over to this side. So I'm going to add 30 to here, and then I have 34. So this number turned into 34. You could have done that, or if you did, how many times does 80 go into 5? It goes 16 times. So that also can be your answer, okay? It's fine if you figure it out. So in this case, though, 34, how many times does 5 go into 34? Well, I know it goes 6 times, and then I have 4 remainders. This becomes my remainder. Now I just need to add up these numbers. 80 plus 10 is 70, plus 6 is 76, remainder 4. Okay? Give yourself a problem, write any kind of problem, and see if you can solve it. It should be pretty easy. Once you know the process, the numbers won't really matter, and you can use your multiplication chart if you need to. Okay?